Hi guys, today we're going to teach you how to make the ultimate ceviche in about 5 minutes. Let's get right to it. Ceviche is a protein that's usually been cured a little bit in like a citrus or a vinegar, depending on where you are. It's considered a fresh dish served cold with usually tortilla chips. All right, and we're gonna start here using the Dalstrong Spartan Ghost series Santoku veg knife. Just gonna get these seeded. We're just basically removing the guts to get rid of any excess water content because we'll get enough of liquids from the citrus alone. So you don't really need the seeds and internals of the tomato. And then we're just going to make small dices. You can do brunoise, which is kind of like a perfect square, but for the sake of the ceviche, you don't need to be super technical about the cuts. It just needs to be spoon size. Ceviche is normally, it's a very South American dish. There will be different variations of ceviche depending on where you go. Some are more vinegar based, others are based off of citrus. There's also versions of it where the proteins are slightly cooked, like in our case right now, and there are many applications where they use straight raw fish and they use the acid from the citrus to essentially cook it in the dish. So freshness in the seafood is very important. Okay, and you want to do the same cuts with the jalapenos. You want all your jalapenos, your onions, and your tomatoes, and your avocado roughly the same size so they can fit on the spoon and you'll get even distribution. The thing about ceviche is you can kind of freestyle a little bit more. It's up to your interpretation. You can put whatever you want traditionally. Okay, so you want to do the same thing with the onions. And you can always add a little bit more onions if that's what you prefer. You can have a little bit more spice in it by adding more chilies if that's what you like, you know, or you can go more avocado if that's your jam. And garlic, you can just mince. Ceviches can be done, if you have all the ingredients, you can put it together in about 10-15 minutes. Depending on the protein you choose though, you may need to cure it for a little bit longer. Such as if you were using like a halibut or a whitefish, you might have to go, I would say about 25 minutes to half an hour before you can actually serve it. Certain fishes have a higher possibility of holding bacteria or parasites. Right now I'm just picking the cilantro and I'm gonna be doing the parsley as well. Ceviches are usually pretty herby. Cilantro is a staple in a ceviche recipe. However, because some people prefer not to, you can just bump up the parsley and you only want the leaves, you don't really need the stems. And always remember to wash your herbs. If you want to get through it a lot faster, I usually try to roll the leaves together and start by doing a chiffonade, which is basically just a straight cut of the herbs. I find that once you get that done, you can just cross it a couple of times and the herbs will be fine enough for what you need. It just keeps it nice and neat and in one area to do it this way. You can just run it over a couple times. All right. The fun thing about ceviche is that there's not a lot of cooking involved. A lot of it is just kind of knife work, so it gives you time to like play around with your cuts and practice your techniques on cutting because, you know, it's a little bit more forgiving. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's a nice and easy way to get into it. And now we're just gonna squeeze the lemon juice and the lime juice inside. Make sure to get the seeds out of your lemon when you squeeze it. You can always just use your hand to screen it a bit. You really don't want to bite into a lemon seed midway through your ceviche. So now we're moving on to the shrimp. So we just have these lightly poached 2125 white Pacific shrimps. They've been peeled and deveined, shelled, and then you just want to make them into small dices. I find it easiest is just to butterfly them open right away. And then we go from the head and you just kind of slice it down. They can be a little bit chunkier or they could be smaller depending on what you prefer. If you want a bigger bite, then you can chop them into larger pieces. Or if you want them to be a little bit more spread out like a salsa or a pico, then you can drop them into much smaller sizes. Now we just got to mix it all together. Okay. So right now I'm just kind of make sure everything is incorporated well. So I'm gonna go spoon it from the bottom up so you can kind of make it chunky, and at the same time this is the folding, just kind of helps to break everything up from the dices and get it nice and incorporated inside. Then you want to give it a taste and you're gonna need some salt. Some people might be perfectly fine as is without adding much more salt to it. And then just adding some pepper as well, just kind of balance it out. So I'm just getting the tortilla chips together because they're usually a very good pairing for the freshness and the crunchiness of the ceviche. Just spoon that onto a plate and you can kind of just go at it like you would like a salsa dip. And you can just scoop it up with your chips and eat it as such. All right, so at the end you can just garnish it with a little bit of cilantro on top, and that's it. Super simple dish, been done in about 5-10 minutes, and at this point it's servable. So enjoy.